Welcome to Mercy's Designs. My name is Mercy and I sell Stampin' Up! Products. Today I'm going to do a video of paper pumpkin alternatives, and I might be dividing this video up into two parts. So for part one, I'm going to be showing how to make this little cute card and for this one. Now this paper pumpkin is no matter the weather, and I think in light of the current crises we have, it's really a great set to have. And it came with 2 stamp sets, which is fabulous, and these little die cuts that are already colored. A couple sheets of those, I think 3. And again, 2 stamp sets. So I took them all off and mounted them. And of course, this is kind of hard to distinguish. So I went ahead and stamped every image, including the sentiments, which I divided. So these are both sets combined, sort of. So anyhow, that I thought was a little bit more helpful. Plus it will help me when, stamping in the future. I'll just keep those cards. So I'm going to set these aside. This one, I may or may not show how I made this one, but I think it's really cute. And I use one of their bases. They have a lot of really cute bases for the cards. So I'm setting those aside. And to get started, we're going to go ahead and do this one, and I'm going to modify it just a little bit. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in the Buffalo Check stamp set. And this one is, the reason why I was inspired to use this was because right here we have this little check at a diagonal, but it's really cute. And I thought that would be fun to do that. So we're going to make a slight bit of change to the card, but basically that's the card we're going to do. So I'm bringing in my Stamparatus, and this is a wonderful tool, especially when you're using a very big stamp. I basically never use the biggest stamp block because it's just really too bulky to use. Okay, so we're going to do a little tone on tone, and of course I want it to go all the way to the edge, and if I were to do that it wouldn't quite make it, so I made this little L using my stamping trimmer. Super easy, by the way. So I'm just going to ink this up really well. And I don't mind if it's not perfect, but I'll go ahead and get it pretty well inked. So I see a few spots that I miss, but some of it's going to be covered anyway. The ink I'm using is the Pear Pizzazz. So just slide this in place, flip this down, and then you want to press pretty firmly just to make sure that you're getting it well inked, because it is a very large stamp. And there we have it. Now, for some reason this spot didn't come out right. I don't know why, but we have a second chance, so I'm just going to try to fix that and see what happens. Fingers crossed that I'll be happy with that. And it still didn't come terribly well, but I'm not going to fret about it because I'm going to make sure I cover that spot. So I'll have to figure out later why that was doing that. Okay, I'm just setting this aside. It's kind of bulky and I don't want it out of the way. Okay, so here's the card. And here is what we're going to put it on. Now with my first one I did on shaded spruce, and this one I thought it would be fun to actually just put it on the Saffron base and use a frame. And I use the stitched rectangle shapes. So all I'm going to do is go ahead and adhere this, center it, and then I'm going to cover it. So I will speed this part up. All right, so I think I found a little piece of paper that was on there. So you have to watch for that sort of thing, that it doesn't create interference. But anyhow, I used the stitch shapes to cut this out. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this on so that we'll cover that little boo-boo up. No big deal, as I said. No need to panic. And Then we're going to bring in the little adorable boot. And I'm not going to pop this one up, this piece. If you pop everything up, it doesn't create as much of an impact as if you pop up certain select pieces, I find. So we're just going to put the boot here, center that. Then they include an entire sheet of dimensionals. And this is actually last month's dimensionals. So you can see it lasts quite a bit and it goes pretty far. So, you know, they're very generous with the amount for Paper Pumpkin, how many dimensionals they include. So that I always appreciate. And then we just pop this up right here. So I think that's just so stinking adorable. And the last thing is we want to go ahead and add a sentiment. So I am going to go ahead and stamp. The first one I used gray granite, but this one I thought I will just use, actually I'll just, oh, I do have the basic black, the basic gray, and I believe that is what I used. Okay, we'll just use that. All right, so we're gonna use this, Let Love Grow, and this, I think depending on what you wrote inside, etc., could be used as like a thinking of you card. So I'm just going to stamp here. Sorry, I'm a little out of center. And I'm going to close up my ink pad because we don't want that drying out. Okay, and then I just pop this out. I find it is a little easier to stamp when it is still in here, but it's not, of course, necessary. You could take it out. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a few dimensionals, and I like cutting some in half, but in this case I'm keeping them whole for this part. Okay, so we're gonna put our base card back in, and then you know, I like to kind of a little bit connect maybe, but not 100% necessary. So there is our stinking cute card. And I like this one a little better than my original because we have this frame. I think that's really cool, and I like the yellow peeking out. This kind of too much green on green kind of, I don't know, it just is a little, not quite perfect. I think this is better. So, all right, so we're gonna move on to our next card, which is this one. So, wishing you brighter days ahead. And I think this is, again, very appropriate sentiment for right now, and I really thought this is really cute, all these scenes, and put them all together. So let's get started. The first thing I want to do is bring in my mat here so that we can stamp without fear of things getting, you know, messed up. So I have a little scrap here, and we're going to go ahead stamp. I'm going to just stamp a bunny, which I already have one, but I'm just going to, so I can say I did some stamping, I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. And then we're going to bring in the flower, potted flower. This is really stinking cute, this whole set. Love it. And you can get quite a bit in here because we fussy cut it out. So we're also going to use one of these, but go ahead and do two, and then you can make two cards with this. So that's what I would do. All right, so we have Pear Pizzazz here, and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp that. And then we'll have two ready to go. Love it. So cute with the grass. Okay, so I'm just setting I'll clean those up in a bit. So that's our stamping for that part, but the last thing I want to do is bring in our Grapefruit Grove, and we're going to go ahead and stamp a little sentiment. So where is my sentiment? Okay, here we go. I'm going to bring up my blends, and we'll talk a little bit about which ones I used. I'm not going to end up doing all the coloring because it would take quite a while, and I don't want to bore everyone to tears. Okay, so here is I cut this out with the stitch nested dies, and we're just going to go ahead and stamp that with that really encouraging little note. Here we go. So I'm just inking this up real quick, and then I'm going to try to do this without getting my head in it. All right, and try to do it straight, but if not, whoa, yeah, I made it crooked because I pushed on it, wiggled it, but no worries, I do have some. It does help to just stand right over it. Okay, so here is our, what it would look like. Fussy cut it out, and the only coloring I'm gonna actually do, I'm just closing up my ink pad, is for the bunny. So I've got petal pink here, and we wanna just add a little color to the inside of his ear, the pink, and then maybe perhaps a little bit on the nose. Okay. So gray granite is one of the listed colors. So I have a little gray granite here. I'm just going to set this aside so it's not distracting. And I'm just going to color a little bit around the edges. I'm not going to do the whole bunny because I want it to look more like he's got shadows and not the whole thing. So if you feel like it's still a little too dark, even with the light, you can come in with your white blending marker here and just kind of lighten it up a little, and then it won't be quite as harsh. So that's our cute little bunny. All right, so oh yeah, so now the base. This is actually a big part, stamping the whole background. So I'm just gonna put that down. We're gonna stamp this. So you can see right here, we have a whole background, and this goes very fast actually. I at first thought, ooh, that's gonna take a while, but really it doesn't. But I will speed up this next part, and you will just get the whole feel of it without having to watch everything in great detail. So here is our base that I also did. I guess I forgot about a lot of stamping. And you can see I mounted these 3 heart stamps that are apart kind of in a sequence so I could create a background. Simple, very simple idea to do. You just space them out a little and then randomly stamp. And I think it just adds a nice little cute touch to the whole project. Okay, so now it's just basically quickly assembling. So I'm going to bring this back in, and we're going to get started. The first thing I'm going to do is back it with some Pear Pizzazz. Oh, actually, I'm going to add the ribbon. So just a simple, you know, tying it, and then to clean it up, you just trim that. And it's not cooperating again. So I'm going to bring in my Tim Holtz scissors. Those never fail for this sort of thing. Very good. Okay. And now I'm just going to attach it to this base. So perhaps I could have turned this a little bit more. All right, but again, I kind of am not going for like super exact. It's just going to be loosey-goosey. Okay, so there it is. And if you're curious, these are stitched so sweetly. This is the largest frame, and then I just cut a piece that's about 3 1/4 by, I think, about 4 1/2. of cardstock to back this with. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and attach this right now, and then we'll quickly add the rest of the pieces. But this whole set is just a lot of fun, and right now I do have a little extra time, like a lot of people. I'm inside, so this is actually really nice change to actually feel like I have the time to do this sort of thing. Sometimes, you know, we get so busy in life, it's hard to even find time to do things that we enjoy, such as stamping. All right, so I'm going to just go ahead and attach a few dimensionals. But before I put that on, I'm going to quickly continue to build the scene. So for the flower, I have gone ahead and colored it, and I used the dark Daffodil Delight. Now the color listed is so Saffron, but I wanted this kind of to be a real bright scene. So I'm just going to add a little glue, and this is not going to be popped up. The only one that's going to be popped up is our bunny. So there it is. Now we're going to bring in our slightly colored bunny and the little grass, which I'm locating as we do this. Okay, so here's my grass. So I'm not going to attach that immediately. Instead, we're going to pop up Mr. Bunny. Great spring card. Nothing like a bunny to say spring, right? I'm so excited for spring. It's actually, today's the first official day, but it doesn't feel too much like spring. It was pretty gloomy weather. All right, so there is Mr. Bunny. And then I'm just going to add this, kind of tuck it under so it almost looks like he's nibbling, because he's a hungry bunny. It's springtime, right? All right, so that is that part. I'm just going to go ahead and add our sentiment real quick, and then I'll bring back the cards in, and hopefully soon I will have the rest of the cards. The other two cards, I'm going to show how I made those as well. All right, so here is the two cards we just made. Super cute. And I want you to stay tuned, and I will be showing how I made these other two cards. And I'm going to make a little bit of a modification here. I made this a birthday card using a different paper pumpkin set. But for this one, I'm going to use one of the stamps that's included. So you can just see just how cute all these are. Sorry about all my mess on my counter. I'm trying to avoid that, but I will be back with part 2, hopefully. I hope you were inspired and will consider subscribing. If you have any stamping needs, please email me at mewants3@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to help you place an order with the host code. If you have any questions, leave a comment below or email me, and happy stamping.